Thank you so much for joining us today. We've got quite a few people that are still kind of making their way in from the waiting room. So if you can just give it one moment while that's happening so that we don't miss out on anyone. And then if you hear me talking to my co-host Rachel, it's because we have a guest lecturer today. So she'll be introducing herself shortly. Rachel, I'm going to let you take control of the participants and admitting people now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first year seminar of the spring semester. Thank you so much for joining us. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Marky Rhodes, and I am the Senior Associate Director over in undergraduate admission, but I am also the primary creator and instructor of this first year experience program. So if you are new to Illinois Tech this semester, welcome. We're so excited to have you. If you're rejoining us from the fall, thank you for sticking with us. I'm really excited about our spring programming. So today in this first week, we're actually going to be starting a 4-part series about understanding and applying theories of positive psychology in daily life. And if you're wondering, why is positive psychology relevant to first year students? I think you're going to see as our guest lecturer, Rachel, starts talking, that it's incredibly applicable to daily life, to the decisions that you make throughout college for planning your career. And you're going to learn and understand how to look at all those variables associated with life satisfaction and happiness, and how to basically take those things into account whenever you're making those decisions that impact your happiness and how you about your daily life. So I'm really excited to get started with that. And of course, it's going to have tons of applicability with dealing with this pandemic as well. I'm going to get started with a few announcements though. First of all, a request. Knowing that we're kind of still getting the word out about this first year experience program, bring a friend with you next week to the first year seminar. We're still going to be continuing this unit about positive psychology, and we're going to be moving toward putting together for each of you individually what's called a living college experience plan. And basically, that's kind of your opportunity to think about these next 4 years and what you want your college experience to look like, and to create an individualized plan for yourself with the support of your first year mentor. So we'll give more explanation about that soon, but definitely bring a friend because I think that a lot of you will benefit from this kind of experience. In addition, friends, we want to make sure that the first year experience program is really working for you this semester. So your mentors are going to be sending this out, but I'm going to go ahead and drop it in the chat as well. I would love it if all of you would do me a favor and take this spring survey. So I'm going to copy this and drop it into the chat right now. But basically, this is giving you an opportunity to essentially vote on the content that we're covering during the first year seminar. So definitely check that out. It takes less than 5 minutes to take the survey. And then I'm going to use those results to actually inform what we cover later on in the semester. So if you want to make your voice heard and make sure that, the FYE program is working for you and for your needs, definitely make your voice heard on that survey. In addition, friends, in terms of upcoming events, not a ton of things on the docket for right now. We are next week going to be announcing the winners of Game of Hawks for the fall semester, so definitely come to check that out. In addition, friends, if you have not checked out Illinois Tech's FYE YouTube channel, definitely make sure that you are subscribing to that. I'll drop it in the chat as soon as Rachel gets started with her lecture. But that is where we upload all of the recordings for all of these seminars so that you can go and view them retroactively. So if you ever can't make the seminar, you still have access to the material. Take the spring survey, as I just pointed out. Definitely check your Hawk email for outreach from your first year mentor. That's going to be happening sometime this week, where they'll be laying out the plans for the semester. And also, just so you are aware, every small group with first year mentors is going to look a little bit different during the spring semester depending on need. So some small groups will still continue meeting as a small group. Some small groups have decided to do away with small group meetings and just go to more of an individual check-in model with mentors and mentees. So be looking for that email from your mentor to explain what they plan on doing this semester. In addition, friends, in terms of reflection journals, that is something that we were only doing for the fall semester. So I will not be giving reflection journal prompts during the spring semester, knowing that all of you are probably focusing on your classes. And friends, next week, make sure that you join us. Next week, Rachel Hirsh, who's going to be talking here in just a moment, will continue our positive psychology unit with a seminar teaching real strategies for increasing life satisfaction and happiness as a college student. So at this time, my friends, I'm going to turn it over to Rachel. She's one of my colleagues in undergraduate admissions, and she is going to start chatting with you about positive psychology. So Rachel, if you want to introduce yourself.
All right, give me 1 second to just share my screen. Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. You can see me? You can see everything? Does it look all right? Yes, no? Some life in the chat, maybe? Okay, thank you. All right, thank you, guys. So I am Rachel Hirsh. It doesn't have to say Miss Hirsh. I'm sorry, I pulled this slide from another class I was teaching to high schoolers. So I was a teacher in Chicago for 6 years, and then I was an assistant principal in Waukegan, if any of you know Waukegan. I'm so excited. I recognize some of your names. So I was also an admission counselor. I was the event manager and pre-college instructor in undergraduate admissions, and I'm actually going to be moving into the director of campus life role next Monday. So I'm so excited to continue working with you guys and also just to be teaching. I love, love, love teaching. I have a master's degree in educational leadership. So I think that goes hand in hand with loving teaching. And then I'm also a student at the university. I'm a PhD student in technology and humanities. And I'm studying feminist hashtags on Twitter and Instagram. So I helped kind of develop this curriculum with two other PhD students who are clinical psych students. So Natalie and Sarah. And I have a little message from Sarah just saying hi. Oh, you know what? I need to share my sound. That would be helpful, right? All right, so here it is.
Hi everyone, hope you're all off to a great start to your semester. My name is Sarah Coates, and unfortunately I'm not able to be there live to assist in teaching the positive psychology unit, but I'm very happy that Rachel is able to be there and will be teaching you the material. Even though I won't be there, I wanted to give a little introduction of myself. So my name is Sarah Coates. I am a first-year clinical psychology PhD student at IIT. I have my bachelor's of science in psychology and exercise science, and my research interests include health and exercise behaviors related to physical activity trackers, health apps, and the media. And I believe my contact information is on the slides provided, so if you need to reach out to me for any reason, please feel free to do so. And I hope you all have a great start to your semester, great rest of your semester, and that you all enjoy this positive psychology unit.
Okay, so today, and I'm sorry because I got to give you kind of the info first. We will be doing things that are a little bit more interactive, but today it's going to be a little bit more lecture style. We're going to talk about positive psychology, what it is, types of happiness, and types of lives, if you will. So here are two different definitions. I'm sure if you looked at positive psychology, there are many, 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 many definitions. So here are two that I really like. So the first one is positive psychology is a scientific study of what enables individuals and communities to thrive. And then the second one is there are two complementary strategies for improving human condition. One is to relieve and what is negative in life, and the other is to strengthen what is positive. Mainstream psychology focuses largely on that first strategy. And we're going to look a lot at Seligman. So positive psychology. So going a little bit more in depth. And I'm sure that you've heard this, and I'm sure that people kind of say it like wing that word around, but it is the study of psychological characteristics that benefit your well-being. So what makes you positive and feeling well? Human strengths are just as important as human weaknesses. I'm sure that you've heard this as well. This is something I know that you guys have kind of talked about, strengths and areas of growth in these seminars. Interest in building the best things out of life, not repairing the worst. concerned with nurturing high talent and helping people find fulfillment. So it's not just for healing, it's really to better yourself. Focus on positive individual traits. And then kind of the goals of positive psychology are to experience the pleasant, good, and meaningful life. We will go over those too. So build strengths and repair damage, make lives fulfilling, nurture talent and genius. So please just throw it in the chat if you've got some sort of idea of what positive psychology is. You can give me a yes, you can give me a sure, you can give me a of course, you can give me a anything. All right, cool. Okay, so I see at least some of you have heard about it. You know a little bit about it. Okay, so there are a lot of myths about happiness. And so the first myth is happiness must be found. This is a really bad one to live by. I think if you are living by happiness must be found, you are a housewife in the 50s trying to find a husband. That should be none of our lives, okay? So, but if you're not happy today, you won't be happy tomorrow unless you take things into your own hands. This is kind of the internal versus external ideas of happiness. And happiness is both internal and external. The next myth is happiness lies in changing our circumstances. So you're asking yourself, you're saying to yourself, I would be happy if you're waiting for something to fall in your lap. It's not going to happen, right? You do have to have kind of those internal things, but also external. You gotta, it's in between being found and it's in between finding it in our laps. So it's a little mix of both. You have to kind of fight that hedonic treadmill. So you can see this little graph that I've got here, which shows the waves of happiness. And that dotted line is your line of happiness, and you can see time going. This is not what happiness really looks like, okay? So the good stuff happening and the bad stuff happening, we won't stay at a constant level of happiness. And then either you have it or you don't. So you can teach yourself to be happy is another myth. All right, so what determines happiness? There are three things that determine happiness, and this kind of goes back to those myths. So the first is your set point, and that's about 50%. So this is genetically how you are made up, okay? Your stable level of happiness that just comes in your brain chemistry. And then 40% is your intentional activity. So that's a good thing. You working on it, the way that you behave, the goals that you set. So that's 40%. And then circumstance, that's 10%. So what's going on in your life today? So a lot of research supports this. So happiness is a good thing. We all want to be happy. So happiness causes good things in life, right? So people who are satisfied eventually have more reason to be satisfied. Happiness leads to desirable outcomes and good health. That is a big one that we're going to harp on this week. Positive emotion, even in a phase of crisis or, PTSD, growth from PTSD. So looking at positive coping. Happiness, character strengths, and good social relationships buffer against damaging effects of disappointments. And then the good life can be taught. So you need to look at your misery and find a relief to it. So it doesn't equal making somebody happy, but it's going to help. And then there are many studies supporting the effectiveness of positive psych. Okay, so I know that this is very text heavy, and I'm sorry, we will get into it, but I just want to give you a lot of the information up front so we can get into the fun things. So there are three types of lives or happy lives, and Martin Seligman studied these in his career. So one is the pleasant life, so enjoying daily pleasures, and then the meaningful life, it's contributing to the greater good, and then the good life, which is using skills kind of to enrich yourself. So the pleasant life. So this is kind of what makes you happy. This is positive emotions and effects from them. It is the pursuit of pleasures. So these would be things that make you happy, that are pleasant in your life. So they could be like shopping, watching TV, maybe like doing a puzzle if you're interested in that. I am all about don't make fun of me, but I'm all about the bujo. I love a bullet journal. It could be writing in your bullet journal. It could be reading for pleasure, okay? The next is The Good Life. You can see Kanye West, The Good Life, good song. And this is about life of engagement. This is this idea of your flow. This is when kind of time stops, you don't feel, you don't think about time, you're very focused, you're concentrated, and that would be on things like maybe exercise, maybe escaping and reading, maybe playing music, or even if you enjoy your work. So that's the second type of life. And the third life, the meaningful life, is something that will actually involve others. So this is using strengths to belong or serve something that is larger than you, and using these strengths, or knowing these strengths and using them. So this could be you doing service work. This could be you doing something nice for somebody else. It could even be maybe if you're religious and you're part of something that you think is larger than you, gives you some sort of meaning. So that's part of the meaningful life as well. So all three of these kind of go into this, a model of well-being, okay? So how you remember it is PERMA. It's not a real word. That's just what they say, but it is the acronym. It's not that great. But PERMA, so positive emotion, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishments. These 5 things are kind of what come out of those 3 lives, and they model your well-being. So I know that you know these, I'll quick go over them, but positive emotion is your kindness, gratitude, hope, what makes you content, excuse me, these are the pleasant life. And then engagement is that flow, being absorbed. You're not thinking about time, you're not being self-conscious. So think about something like, drop it in the chat right now, something that like you maybe have that engagement, or maybe that you have that flow where you kind of like lose track of time. I would say mine is like, I don't wear makeup very often. Cosplay for sure, but I love like doing like a winged liner and like a whole face, and it could take me like 40 minutes or it could take me 5. I don't know. Playing video games, yes, for sure. Like I also, reading, yes. I feel like also like if I know I have to take my dog out, I might take him on an hour walk or like a 10-minute walk. It like doesn't compute in my head. I'm just like in another space in the zone. Photography, yes. Cooking. Oh, I see all these really good things. Oh, cooking for sure. And I know Marky makes some very, very good food. I see it at lunch. Well, I did see it at lunch. All right. Relationships. This is very important to being happy and your well-being. And definitely, watching YouTube. Definitely. Getting in those YouTube holes for sure. But relationships, this one is so important right now, especially because a lot of us are, by ourselves or only with our families or, only with maybe our roommate or something. So people who maintain strong positive relationships are happier in life. We are very social. We are social beings. That is something about the human race. We need that connection with each other. So, whether it's through FaceTime or, a 6-foot walk with each other in the freezing cold right now, maintaining those relationships adds to that well-being. And then meaning, remember, coming from something that makes you bigger that's larger than yourself. So it could be altruism or philanthropy, something that gives you meaning to your life. And then achievement, so a sense of accomplishment. Having goals, meeting those goals. For me, I know that accomplishments, achievements are one that I focus a lot on, which doesn't always, you got to equal it out, right? Okay, so with all of that, we're going to focus on this the next time that we meet. But we're going to kind of talk about this idea of The Secret, and just drop into the chat. Has anybody heard of this book, The Secret, or read this book, The Secret? And you can totally make fun of me and you can say that book is is all garbage. Have you heard of this? It's old. It's probably right when Marky and I were out of college, this became really hot. Oh, Okay, I feel like you probably did not. Okay, okay. So there's an idea of the secret. We're gonna focus on this a little bit later. But this idea of the secret is this idea of manifesting. And so now that we can go back and we can kind of think about those 3 lives, the one thing that we're going to do is kind of manifest on those 3 lives. And we're not going to start this today. I just want to give you, a little bit of the information up front so you're not, surprised. But what I'm going to ask you guys to do, and I want you to think about it, and if you're brave enough, you can drop some in the chat, is I want you to think about some goals that maybe you have for yourself. They could be this year, they could be for, next year, they can be just during quarantine, or not during quarantine, during the pandemic until you get, the vaccine maybe, or they can be for your entire college career, or they can be for, I don't know, the next 5 to 10 years. That's pretty far out, but maybe some of you can think that far in advance. And I want you to kind of think about these goals, and these are going to be goals that we're going to return to. So if you can, for a moment now, I want you to think about these goals. And I know we're going to talk a little bit about optimism the next time we meet, but think about a goal that you want to achieve. So like for me, I used to play ukulele all the time. I have played probably 1 time in 2020 and 1 time in 2021 thus far. So like one thing that I want to do is make more time for, playing the ukulele because I love to play it, even though I'm pretty terrible. So I want you to write that down. You can stick it in a Google Doc right now. You can throw it in on a piece of paper if you got it in on your desk. If you're a nerd like me, you love a bullet journal, you're all bujoed, you can throw it in your bujo. And so I want you to think about these goals, and these are things we are going to return to. In our 4th week of this class, what I want to do though is I want to kind of think about those goals, and then we are actually going to write them to ourselves in a letter. And then we are going to collect those letters and we are going to send them to you after some time. So you will get to return to these goals. So even if you've lost the Google Doc, even if you've lost, the piece of paper, you've lost your bullet journal. If you don't know what a bullet journal is, look it up. I know that I'm like a real big nerd and I keep talking about it, but I love a bujo. It'll be something to return to. So think about that. I'll give you a couple minutes to write those down. And I want you to think about the college experience. So this has been an odd experience thus far this year, to say the least. I know that all of you know that. I know that Marky and myself know that. I know all of your mentees or all of your mentors know that. So think about something that you want to do during your college experience, hopefully on campus. Maybe it's during the pandemic. It could be about something you want to attend. It could be about a class that you really want to ace. It could be about, meeting more people. And I want you to put those down somewhere. Now, if you're brave enough, you can throw them in the chat, but these are definitely yours alone. You do not need to put them in the chat. Okay, perfect. Okay, so really quickly. So we're gonna touch on this a little bit. Oh, I love that. Oh, I see some in the chat. Developing a healthier sleep routine. Yes, I am actually very good at that. I go to bed at 9 because I'm a baby. But yes, I think that is a good one. Learn to cook new dishes. Oh, yes, that's awesome. Getting back into Rubik's Cubes. Very cool. Alejandro, I hope that you are working on that time. I think we have like a Rubik's Cube contest on campus, but if not, we should, and I'll put one together, and I hope you enter it. Exercise, yes, I have a goal for exercise every year, and I have definitely fallen off during this weekend eating all garbage. Blocking off time in my schedule for self-care, yes. Playing soccer, yes. Oh, it's so fun to do the things that maybe like, they're not necessarily things that you're going to be famous for doing, like playing soccer or ukulele or things like that. But if you really enjoy them, you should do them. All right, perfect. All right, Alejandro, I'm going to write that down and I'll remember it, because why wouldn't we? We've got a lot of Rubik's Cube kids on campus, as well as X Cube kids on campus. Okay, so I'm going to just go into what we're going to kind of talk about next week. And we're going to think about positive psychology and the application. And I want you to think a little bit about your goals. And then we're going to be free to go. So these are the 3 things that you need to think about. And look at that goal that you have on paper. Maybe you've got it in a Google Doc. Maybe you've got it on a piece of paper. But think about this. There are 3 steps, and you can all do them. You are all very strong. So know and cultivate your strengths. That is going to help with those 3 lives and you kind of embodying this positive psychology, okay? Cultivate optimism of hope. This is one that I am not great at. I ruminate all the time. I think about every single way that something is going to fail. Literally, whether it's something small or something large, I will think of 100 ways that it might fail instead of thinking about the one way that it's going to succeed. And then challenge your thoughts. So taking those negative thoughts and challenging them. Okay, so I know that we're like a little bit under in time. I'm so sorry. I was just such a fast talker and very excited. But keep those goals somewhere right now that you can keep them for the next 4 weeks. If not, you can create a new one too. But it was lovely having you. And then Marky, I'm going to throw it back to you. I'm sorry that I was so quick today.
Not a problem at all. I know that these are busy students, and I'm sure they won't complain about having time to get to their next commitment. So, friends, just a couple of reminders from the beginning. Remember that I did drop the link in the chat for the spring survey, and this is your opportunity to make your voice heard in creating the content for the seminar later on in the semester. So we really only have programming planned for the next couple of weeks. And then after that, we want it to be your choice. And we're going to create the programming depending on what you tell us in that survey. So definitely make your voice heard there. Feel free to share the link with other first years and get the word out that you are allowed to vote on the content. Don't forget to subscribe to the FYE YouTube channel that was dropped in the chat as well. We'll be uploading all of the seminars in the recorded version so that you can check them out later. And friends, just remember always, 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 if you need anything at all, please reach out to myself, reach out to your mentor. We are definitely the team that's kind of the catch-all, helping team on campus. So if you have any issues that you just don't quite know how to resolve, you can always come to us kind of as your first stop and we can direct you from there. So my friends, it's hard to believe it's the first week of the spring semester. I know that 2020 was a blur and 2021, we are still dealing with this pandemic, but this team is here for you. We are so excited to have you. So get out of here, enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy your first week of classes, and we will see you next week for the continuation of this discussion about positive psychology. Bye, everybody. Bye, friends.
Bye. And one thing to say is that generally people who are optimistic live longer.
That's actually true. Yeah, there's a lot of research that supports that. Thanks, Cameron. Have a great rest of your day, my friend.
And generally having a pet may promote optimism, which in turn could increase your lifespan.
Absolutely. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and end the meeting.
All right.
Bye.